First and foremost, Mr. Smith, Leroy Smith, I hope you and your family are well.
Oh man, thanks for having me. Happy New Year, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, let's go back to the beginning. Take us back to the early days when you first picked up a football and you started playing the game that you love and the game that loves you.
I could go as far as back as Monday night football. This one Monday night, my mom was telling me to go to bed, and I kept hearing this name on the television. This guy, this running back that played for the Chicago Bears. I kept hearing Walter Payton, Walter Payton, Walter Payton. So I told my mom, I want to be like that guy. I don't want to go to bed. I want to see him score another touchdown. So I was at the age of 3 and I told my mom, I want to go play. I want to go be like Walter Payton. So after that, I just, did research on Walter Payton. That was my idol growing up until, others, till I found out more about football. So, I just want to be like Walter Payton. So I picked up the pigskin at the early age of 3, 4 years old in my backyard. Used to throw the ball up to myself and, just imitate some moves that he would do. So, I was determined to play the sport. And I think that it was a part of me. My mom showed me a picture of me when I was a infant, holding the football. So I guess it was my destiny to play the game that I so love. So, growing up, was a pretty good athlete. I played baseball. Baseball was my best sport, basketball, and ran track, and of course football. So basically, Walter Payton inspired me, and I kept it going all the way through elementary school, where I found a new love, a new player to idolize, which was Charlie Ward, because I played quarterback. So me playing quarterback and point guard, I thought I was Charlie Ward for a second until I got to high school, where my uncle Ricky Smith, he played defensive back for the Patriots and played for the Washington Redskins. He told me you would have a better opportunity if you would transition from a quarterback to defensive back. So then I started looking at got him, my uncle Ricky, and guys like Deion Sanders. So I guess that led me to going to Florida State. My destiny led me to go to Florida State. So that's how my love for the game developed.
And speaking of FSU football and the Knowles and yourself and Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, recently we see in the news, whereas recruiting, all the coaches are looking for student athletes. Talk about Coach Prime, and again, you just alluded to HBCU football, but talk about the Coach Prime and Deion Sanders, his impact, if you will, on Florida State University, and now we see him with D. Jackson State University.
First and foremost, I want to thank Coach Prime, Coach Sanders, for doing what he's doing, because he's shining light on not just HBCUs. He's shining light on the game as a whole, as far as marketing, as far as player development, as far as creating a relationship, as far as building the character of young men. So I salute Prime for that, because that's what the organization that I lead, that I'm the CEO of, that's what we do. We try to help the whole kid, and we just been blessed enough to use the football, the area of football, the platform of football. So Prime he's doing an amazing job, with the resources that he has. Being a great player, he's always been Prime. He's always kept the main thing, and that's why he's been so blessed. That's why it's like people see Prime, and they see the flash, they see the speed, they see the showtime. But Prime was a hard worker. Prime was a student of the game, where he, when I did my research on him, he created a character for himself, and he exceeded that character. But the character was for him to excel, for him to do what he does, and that was to elevate whatever environment that he's in. I don't think he's doing it for selfish reasons. He's a winner, and he's teaching the kids not how to win, not just in sports, but in life. He's teaching them, everyone is not going to be as successful as him as he was on the football field, but there's other avenues you could go in to be successful. You could be prime time, being an engineer. You could be prime time being, a mechanic. So he's shining light on these kids, and I think that's a blessing to be able to be coached by one of the best, and to get the tutelage and knowledge from one of the best. So kudos to Coach Prime. Kudos to everything that he's doing for HBCUs, and everything he's doing, the light that he's shining on the college football as a whole, because he's letting everyone know that let's try to level the playing field. These kids in HBCUs need, if they were blessed with the resources that the PWIs have, let's see how, let's compare the two. So he's using his resources that he obtained from his playing days and from his time in media to give those resources to the kids at his particular college. And I just say kudos. That's a blessing. That's great.
Okay, so growing up, you decide to go to high school at that point, and you become a premier athlete. Take us into the recruiting process for you personally, when Florida State University was on the scene, and then you bring in the Bowden family. Tie that together for us.
Oh man, I didn't know it. I just knew I loved to play football. I love to compete. So my mom, we didn't know anything about recruiting. We didn't know. We just was like, oh, these people want to come and treat me like a king here. Oh, because of my skills and because I did good in school, because I got the grades. Oh, okay, let's go on these visits. So as the media attention, as I gained the media attention, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know how big it was when I was in it. I can tell you that. I didn't know, the cost of a scholarship. I just was, I just was determined to play the sport. I always had good grades, graduated with a 3.6, top 15 of my class. Coming from a rural area, that's big, and still being the star athlete. So the recruiting process, I had colleges, Tennessee, University of Florida, Clemson, definitely. Tons of schools all across the country wanted me to come to their school. Florida State, they was when I was in school, they were the Alabama of college football, because they had went to 3 straight national championships and another one my freshman year. So I always wanted to go to Florida State. Love Charlie Ward, love Marvin Jones, love Prime, Deion Sanders, Terrell Buckley, guys of that sort, Bobby. But like, I used to watch those guys and I wanted to be that. And luckily, blessed enough, my sister went to Florida State, so she's older than me. So I used to go and watch those guys, Peter Warwick, practice. I used to go watch those guys practice, and I wanted to be that. So coming around for me to take my visits, I had a pretty good senior year. Coming around for me to take my visits, never had been on a jet or airplane. Clemson, was a jet to come pick me and one of my teammates up. So it was exciting but scary at the same time, because it was the first time me being on the jet, and they took us. We met with the coaches. They told us the chances of us succeeding and playing and getting our degree. And, that was amazing. That I would advise any student athlete to take their visits. So I committed to Clemson. However, before I got on the trip, before I went on the trip, Bobby Bowden came to my school, and it was shocking to me to be able to see Oz. I called him Oz because when Bobby Bowden back then, God bless the Bowden family, when Bowden came to your house, to your school, and to your house, it gave you so much clout. It gave you, oh man, it was a different feeling for Bowden to stop what he's doing, to take the time out of his day to come and see you personally. So he came to see me personally, and with that charisma, and like I said, we laughed, we joked, and he said, "Oh, you're going to see that young Bowden, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yes, sir." So he said, "You don't want to play for him. You want to play for me, right?" I say, "Yes, sir." It was an amazing time, but he didn't try to push me to make a decision. It was, I wanted to go to Florida State, but he just made it seem like he was my granddad, like he was gonna take care of me, he was gonna make sure everything's gonna be all right, and things worked out. So I committed to Florida State as well. So I committed, you have these kids now committing to two schools. I did it not knowing what I was doing, because I didn't understand the process. So I committed to Florida State and Clemson. Then I eventually chose Florida State because my coach, I think my great coach Andy Gay, he asked me. He sat me down because Clemson was, my mom loved Clemson, but she knew my heart was at Florida State. And she grew up Florida State fan, but Clemson just treated us so good, so well. And I had my guy Willie Simmons was there at Clemson at the time. My guy, the late Charles Hopper, he was there, and they were recruiting another receiver from Gaston County, Ronnie Thomas, that went to all of us went to the same high school. He was committed to Clemson as well. So it was just a comfort zone for my mom to have people there that I already knew, and we can go through the Clemson Clemson University together. So me, I've always gone against the grain. I've always trusted my heart. So my coach Andy Gay sat me down, and I was, when you're young, that at that age, you don't understand the business. So my coach sat me down, Andy Gay. He said, "Now, do you want to get coached by this DB coach, or do you want to get coached by Mickey Andrews?" Mickey Andrews. Mickey Andrews. And I sat back and I slept on it. And I didn't have to think long, but I just thought about all of the tradition. I thought about the Florida State. When my coach Andy Gay told me that, it took me back to when I was in the 5th grade, and I thought I was Charlie Ward. I had number 17. The other day, one of my good friends that played running back, he sent me the film, a picture of us on the All-Star team, and I had number 17. And I thought I was Charlie Ward, and it just took me back to when I was in the 5th grade and me telling my mom what I was going to do. So I sat down. I thought about Charlie Ward. I thought about Terrell Buckley. I thought about Deion Sanders. I thought about Marvin Jones. I thought about Renard Wilson. I thought about Peter Bower. I thought about Derek Gibson. I thought about Samara Rowe. I just thought about Peter Ward. And so it was a no-brainer for me to say, I want to be coached by the best. I want to be coached by the best. I don't care because I'm a competitor at heart. I'm a competitor by nature. I don't care of how many blue chips they have. I want to be coached by the best. I want to be coached by the best, and it's close proximity to my mom, but she moved to Jacksonville. But I have my family still in Quincy, and I have family in Jacksonville, so it's close. Everyone would be able to come to the games easily. So, and then, I had my kids, I had kids. So my decision was based on, I think I'm at that age, to the age of 18, I made a good business decision. It was a thought out, and I'm grateful that I chose that decision to today. No discredit to Clemson, because Clemson is an amazing school. but I think I made the best decision for me, and I think that's what these kids have to do today.
So now you're a fan on the inside, but now you're actually a student athlete. You're part of the Seminoles Nation, if you will. You're part of that pantheon of gentlemen who have put on that jersey and played at Doak. So now that you're there and you're being coached up, so to speak, by Coach B, take us inside the Seminoles way, what it was like for you, the national championships, the insider's perspective of grinding and earning an education and playing football under the lights on Saturdays.
It was grueling. It made the best come out of you because our practices were harder than the games. Our practices, we went at it. You got to think, I'm playing cornerback. I'm going against Anquan Bolden. I'm going against Javon Walker, Snoop Menace. I'm going against, I'm going against Chris Winkie, Greg Jones. I got Antonio Cromartie trying to compete against Brian McFadden, Antonio Cromartie. So it brings out the best of you. It brings the best out of you, and it makes you understand how to survive in life. So Florida State, Mickey Andrews didn't hold anything back. Mickey Andrews was like the hard daddy. Coach Bowden was like the granddaddy. You go tell Coach Bowden on the things Coach Andrews did to you, and he'll pat you, he'll hug you. It's okay, but they're working together to bring the best out of you. So at that time, and we had great coaches, Coach Mark Rick, I thank him to this day for recruiting me, because Coach Rick told Coach Andrews if I didn't pan out at defensive back, I could come over to receiver. So I'm very thankful for those coaches that I was, and Kirby Smart was there. Kirby Smart coached me. So you see what Kirby Smart is doing now, but being at Florida State, man, at that particular time, we expected to win. We expected to be great because we felt no one would outwork us. We had these things called mat drills where, I don't think anybody, if you could survive mat drills, you could survive anything in life. And that's what I got from it. It taught you how to, it's mind over matter. Your mind can take you further than your body can imagine it could go. So when game time, it just was, you could look at it two ways. It was our time to put everything we've been through, take everything we've been through on somebody else, take it out on somebody else, because we went through this hard practice. You could look at it that way, and sometimes we did. Okay, I had to run these stadiums. I'm gonna go run through somebody. I had to run these. I had to practice this hard. I'm gonna go. They're not gonna catch nothing on my side. So that's the mentality that we had. And also, you can look at it as, hey man, I'm at this prestigious college. I can't let the people who paved the way for us to have all this down. I got to keep the legacy going. These coaches took a chance on me. They came to Quincy and took a chance on me. So I can't let the ball drop right here at me. I got to keep it going so I can pass it to someone else because it's a legacy. So our mentality was we expected to win. And we just didn't expect to win. We expected to dominate.
Now, in previous conversations, we've talked about some of the great moments that you've had. Take us back to the FSU and Notre Dame game, and give us your memory on that.
Oh man, that game is a very game, one of my best games. That's close to my heart because I remember in '92, Notre Dame beat Florida State, and that year that they won a national championship, and I cried because I was a Tyler Ward fan. I cried. So here I am getting an opportunity to play on the same field, South Bend. My next door neighbor was a Notre Dame fan. He was a Jerome Bettis fan. His name is Charles Wood. He was a great athlete as well. Played D tackle. He was a Notre Dame fan. And me, I'm a Florida State fan. So man, he picked at me the whole year about that game. So, but here I am in South Bend, cold, and we're about to lace up, but we're dressing in all white. So, I had to have a little swag. I'm starting that game. So that game was a great game for me. I felt like I was in a dream. That game, I feel like I was in a dream because I didn't realize the things that I accomplished during that game. It was just walking through the tunnels. Oh my God, you walking through the tunnel, you're in a dream. Walking on the field. Oh my, so you feel the history of that stadium. You feel the history. So, first play, they came at me deep. I swatted away, gave me confidence. And then I just played with ultimate confidence, because they beat us the year before in Doak Campbell. So we as a team, we told ourselves we're here to get a payback, but to set the tone, because we want to go to the national championship that year. And we know that, Notre Dame, we knew that Notre Dame had the NBC network. So basically, or is it ABC? One of the two. So my mindset was, I'm going out here to show the world what Leroy Smith, what a little small guy from Quincy, Florida, could do. I got a major hit, that caused a fumble. Interception. I got a defensive lineman. A back came out in the flats. I was in cover two. I disguised the cover two, made it seem like I was in cover three, and back came out of the flats. Brady Quinn threw the ball, and I came up and laid him out, which it probably would be a flag in today's game. But one of my defensive linemen, Jeff Womble, came. He straight down the line and got an interception. I defended a couple of passes, had a couple of third down stops. And we wanted to keep so we let our tools in the game towards the end of the game, and they was going into score. They still had their starters out. They were trying to score because it was we had a shutout at that point, and they were on our 10-yard line or so. And Coach Andrews told me to go back in, and I was like, okay, Coach, I'm ready. I just was waiting on you. I want to get the tools some burn, so he told me to go back in. It was fourth down and I think fourth down and 2. The coach went forward. They ran the out route, which the rest is history. I took him 90 yards to the house, in South Bend, so that was a great moment for me, that was a historic moment for me as far as one of the greatest plays I've ever been involved in. But the greatest play that I ever been involved in was when we played Clemson my senior year, and I studied film because they one of the receivers the year before, one of the receivers caught a pass on me. Kevin Youngblood, we joke about that to this day. He went to Jacksonville Reigns. He caught a pass on me that set up a field goal. So I wanted to pay them back. So I watched film. That my senior year, I watched film all week, even prior weeks. Before we played Clemson, and man, they came out the second quarter. The receiver, Charlie Whitehurst, made an audible. They ran a 10-yard comeback out route, and I broke on it. Intercept the pass, took it to the house. But in that pit, what made that play so special? What made the play so special is the reason why I came to Florida State. ABC took a picture of me running the ball back, and in that picture was my entire family. You can see the expression. They had their hands up. They were mouths open, and it was an amazing. That was probably my greatest play ever, ever. Me playing professionally, Little League, that was the greatest play because it showed the support that I had, to get to the point that I was at, and that's the reason. Showed me the reason why I was doing what I was doing. And it's not just for me, it's for my family. So yeah, man, that was amazing. That was an amazing play for me.
State championship. In those days, you look at Florida State University, the University of Florida, and then you look down to the south to the U, and you see the Miami Hurricanes. It was about winning those games against those particular teams, the bragging rights for the state championship. Nowadays, in this era, there's several universities with teams. But can you take us back to the so-called state championship and what that means to you personally?
Oh man, listen, back then, if you won the state, you was gonna play for the national championship. So you got to think, that's what Coach Bowden and Coach Andrews always preached to us. We win the state, we gonna win. We got a chance to play in the national championship, and we gonna win the national championship. Because we had our great players, but University of Florida, they had those dynamic receivers, those Jabbar Gaffneys, those you can read there, Anthony. I hear you. You got, you have tons of guys who impact. Fred Taylor, and then you go down to Miami. Oh, the list goes on. I mean, we played Miami. They had 30. They had like 10 first rounders on the field at one time. You got an Antrell Rowe, the late Sean Taylor. You got Jonathan Vilma. You got DJ Williams. You have Ed Reed. You have, oh man, the list goes on. Jabbar Gaffney, Clint Portis. You got so many guys, Andre Johnson. You just got so many guys that you were going to get, and that made the game. Oh, those games, those were like Tyson Holyfield. Those like Ali Frazier. You had to bring your A game to all those games because everyone knew what was online at stake. Everyone knew those games. Everyone was sitting down in front of their TVs watching it. I don't care where you were from. You were going to watch those games because it had that much magnitude on the college football. It had that much magnitude on college football. And then you see all of the great players coming from those games. You go look at the NFL, you see all those great players, so man, those games, those games, I tried to calm myself down before the game, because during the game you were gonna need every ounce of energy and mental stability that you could have, because that was about, you're gonna get punched, you're gonna punch, you're gonna, it was a true definition of life, so it was an ultimate respect for both teams. I never beat Miami. I never beat Miami while I was at Florida State. Never beat Miami while I was at Florida State. We would kick their butt all the way up and down the field for 4 quarters. Then, they'll come back and we'll miss a field goal. But, it shouldn't have got to that point, but that was the fight that they had in them. So I respect UM. I respect University of Florida. I respect Florida as a whole. But back then, the talent was like that simply because you didn't have that many schools in Florida like that. UCF came along, South Florida came along, and all these other different schools where Florida kids can go. And then the college football world caught on, all the talent, all these kids from Florida, and they going to Florida State, Miami, and University of Florida. And Florida, they started coming to get these kids from Florida. You got to think about, they did a thing on Nick Saban's secondary. The whole secondary was from Florida at one time. So you're going to get these kids from Florida. So now these kids are going out of state to play because their goal is to. I hope everyone goal is to go to the NFL to try to make it to the NFL. So they're trying to maximize their opportunity to go, and I understand it from a business standpoint. But I would wish, my wish for them to come to Florida State. But I understand it. You know, it makes football great. It makes people have to coach, because I tell you one thing, you cannot out coach recruiting. You can't do that. So, and everyone knows, me and a couple of my guys from California and Texas, we always have this debate, but we all know where the football state is. So, they're gonna come to Florida and get that talent. So, but that's why our games were so. Oh man, those were real memorable, and those were real. Those were the days, when you had those three schools in the state of Florida, and they battled. We battled. I say we battled. And now it just, Florida, the business has changed, the game has changed. So, and no discredit to the schools. It's gonna make it harder for, kids to stay here. And that's understandable on both sides.
Life after FSU. You move on. Take us into some of the things you've been able to do in life after a beautiful experience in Tallahassee at Florida State University.
Basically, I was picked up as a free agent with the Chicago Bears. Played there. Came to 2005 draft. Didn't understand the business that much. Didn't understand the relationship aspect that much. The business of football is relationships. The business of anything is relationships. So I just, I got blessed with the opportunity to play Chicago Bears. Then I went and played with the Tampa Bay Storm, take Milwaukee Mustangs, Utah Blaze, in the Arena League. Got offers to go to Canada, but I wanted to come back home and raise my kids. So I came home. I was trained, still in shape. Teams wanted me, but we was on an off period, and one of my old coaches, one of my mentors, asked me that I want to be a teacher. I'm like, what, being a teacher? But he knew I was always a leader. I was always smart. I thank my parents for that. So he asked me if I want to be a teacher, and I hesitated, but then I was like, okay, I'll come help the kids. Something that I always wanted to do. So I began teaching. I was a history teacher. I was a civics teacher. I was a geography teacher, American history teacher, economics teacher. So basically, I helped a lot of kids increase their grades, stay out of trouble, and by me through me teaching, I understood that a lot of kids was not getting the resources they needed to be successful. So I created my organization called Diamonds in the Rough, and which has helped many kids get on the right track, divert them from the prison system. Many kids have increased their grades in school. Many kids have it decreased their suspensions from school. And many kids have gotten scholarships amounting to over $2.5 million plus. So, now I'm a Title I vendor. Basically, we the organization, help kids in sports, not academics. You name entertainment. We just try to tackle the whole kid. And we basically teach the whole kid. We teach kids how to respond in a school setting, in an environment, where they need to be compliant. So, those are the things that I've been doing. I help kids get scholarship. I was a football coach, which I helped a school that was being able to taken over by the state. I helped them increase their grade, which the grade was an F for years, and they asked me, requested I be the head coach, and once I took the job, the school went up to a B. Kids got, they started being enthused about coming to school, and because I broke it down to them, about the importance of education, the importance. See, a lot of people perish because they don't know, so once you broke it down, the importance of something, then you give them a real adequate choice, so they can make a good decision, you know, because if someone don't know how important something is, they're not gonna take it as serious. Even us as adults. So I broke down the importance of school to the kids that were in my program and that was in that school, and they made better decisions. Probably sometimes not the best decision at all time, but they made better decisions. And you can only build from someone, getting better. Then we're not perfect, but we always want to do better. And I think that is the blessing of being in my organization, and what we bring to the table to help these kids, because our kids is our future. So that's those some of the things that I've accomplished over, since I've been playing. My playing days have been over or whatever.
Mr. Smith, when you look at the coaching tree, if you will, and Coach B, and you've been able to be a coach, and then you look at your high school team, you got them to a playoff win for the first time in several years. You look at some of your 7-on-7 opportunities for young people. Just take us into the coaching game, if you will, and what that's been like for you.
Coaching game is a blessing to me, because I think this is what I believe. Um, Kids these days are more tangible. They don't know how to dream. So when you have to be more personable to them, you have to break things down more to them, because of the household, what they see at home. So man, the coaching is very vital, and it's another positive voice in their ear. A lot of most kids today, see, you got to think about it. We didn't have social media growing up. We didn't have all these things as easily accessible to us on, so as like these kids do today. So their attention span is not gonna be as long as our attention span was, because everything is so accessible. But then coaching would teach kids how to trust the process. It would teach them how to trust a process. And that's one thing that people in general have to learn how to do. Trust the process with adequate evaluations of oneself. So me being a coach, the perspective it changed. It basically say, okay, in order to get the kids to trust the process, I have to get the kids to know who they are, and I have to get the kids to trust me. So I have to be as transparent as I can. I can't presume, or I can't say I'm a perfect coach. I cannot say I am a perfect individual. I can say, now this process will help you, help your percentages increase to defeat the odds, your circumstances. That's what I do, and it has been successful. And and along the way, it will help them be accountable to their actions. It will help them be aware of their actions, because they have a goal as well. It's just we got to keep their attention span focused on their goals, so that they can trust the process. And along the way, you will evaluate the process, and you have to be straight up with them. So I think that's where my success comes from. Which Mickey Andrews, that's the way he was. He was a straight shooter. He's gonna tell you where you messed up. And he graded us hard. If we messed up on a step, we had to run for that. If you could get an interception, and if something was hanging off if your clothes wasn't strapped, if your chin wasn't buckled, you had to run for that. So he graded us hard to make us say, okay, we got to be excellent, not perfect, but excellent. So we strive. So I coach and with the same demeanor. Okay, you want to do this? You got to strive for excellence in every single aspect, not just the game of football. You got to get your grades. You got to be respectful to your mom. You got to be respectful to people outside of your family. Just give respect. You know, you got to be respectful for the lady in the grocery store that gets on your nerves, or that you think get on your nerves, but she's giving you a wise word. You got to be respectful to your teachers, and you got to do what you're supposed to do. Discipline, love, and heart. Discipline to do what you're supposed to do where someone is watching or not. Love for yourself, others, and love for God, yourself, and others. And heart, the heart of a champion, where things going good or going bad. You know, so that has helped the kids, you know, focus, I would say focus on the main thing. Because these days, these kids have so much they could go to. They got Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, they got Twitter, they got, you know, they have so many things that they can go to get their attention. But when you know, settle them down to make sure they're focusing on the right thing, that's when you can produce what you want to produce and help them produce what they want to produce. You know, will it always work? You know, no, but you can go back to the drawing board and make changes. You know, that's just like a coach going into halftime. You have to be able to adjust. You know, so I do my organization like that. Sometimes you got to make adjustment. Sometimes your plan will not work, but you have to be able to know what's going on around you and make adjustments. And that's why I tell them I'm not the best coach. I say because sometimes my plan will not work, but you have to trust me that I'm gonna be able to make an adjustment to be able to make it work at the end. You know, so I think that comes from being around great people like Coach Bobby Brown, Coach Mickey Andrews, Coach Andy Gay, Coach Perry Fuel, Coach Ricky Smith, and coach my old coach, middle school coach Wright, coach Ronnie Price. You know, I've been around Coach Michael Jackson, you know, my pops, Rodney Smith, being around great people. You know, not always perfect people, but great people. You know what I'm saying? That they get it, and they want you to get it. So I can't. So now I'm like I did on the Florida State football field. I can't let the ball drop with me. You know, I got to pass the torch on because eventually I'm gonna get old and I'm gonna be inspired. So, but the legacy will live on. You know, trying to get these kids to take my place, and then they can pass it on and keep passing on until we have a generation of people that get it, of wealthy individuals, of healthy individuals, of people that can think before they react. You know, so you know, I think that has a lot to do with the places I've been able to go and the people that I've been able to encounter. So because you got to think, you know, shoot, Bobby Brown, you know, Bobby Brown coached with Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells coached with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick coached with Nick Saban. Nick Saban coached with Kirby Smart. It just goes down. That's the coaching tree. That's why you see the greatness just keep coming and coming. And it's from the same coaching tree. So it's just, you know, everybody passing it down to the next generation or to the next coach to be able to impact more individuals. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Leroy, when you saw your jersey in Doak in your locker hanging up for the first time, and then also when you saw that jersey Soldier Field with Chicago Bears, take us into both of those episodes and what that was all about.
It was, I can say I can because mine was different. It was God does really listen. That's because at the age of 3, I go back to what I said in the beginning. I told my mom I was going to play for the Chicago Bears. I was about to get in trouble. I was about to get a whooping for not wanting for not wanting to go to bed. So because it was Monday night, I had to get ready for daycare the next morning. So I told mom I'm gonna play for the Chicago Bears. She told me, she was like, "Yeah, right, son, go to bed. Take your butt to bed, boy." So for me to be able to see that jersey, it was a dream come true. It was like, God, you really listen. And then for me to always want to play for Florida State, and I told my mom when I think I was 15, I'm gonna play for Florida State. I'm gonna play for Florida State. And to see that jersey, to see my name on the back of the jersey, to be able to put it on and represent not just your family, not just your community, but a long line of greatness. It was like royalty, always on TV. Even now, with Florida State losing, they're still always on TV. But we're not. But they're going into the right direction. Let's get. We're going in the right direction. But to have that jersey with your name on the back. I'm coming from a rural area with great athletes. It was guys I seen guys that could play. I seen guys that could play. Every sport in the neighborhood. Oh man, there were guys that I can say that were better at football than me that didn't make it. So I had to respect those guys from putting on that jersey. I had to respect the guys that did make it from my neighborhood when I put on that jersey. I respect my grandmother that used to cook for me all the time when I put on that jersey. I respect my preacher when I put on that jersey. I had to respect my teachers and my coaches when I put on that jersey, my community when I put on that jersey. I had to respect Coach Bowden when I put on that jersey. I had to respect my teammates in high school and middle school and elementary when I put on that jersey, in college when I put on that jersey. So when I put on that Florida State jersey, it just a respect. I had to respect the city of Tallahassee. I had to respect just everything. That's what went through my mind at that time. So I could not go out there once I put on that jersey and not be the best. I wasn't gonna do it. I couldn't live with that. So I thought that's how my mind thought then. I respect my Sunday school teacher. Miss Jackson, when I put on that jersey, so those are the things that went through my mind. And then oddly enough, before every game, I used to write every number that I had, every number that I ever had in my life, every time I played, every number that I had, because it was another step to my dreams. I wrote 10, 17, number 2, number 21, number 32, number 30, all those numbers that I had to get me to this point, because I had to respect myself. I put in the work. I went to school. I had perfect attendance. I went to Spanish class. I went through English. I passed the ACT. I had to play all these sports. I stayed out of trouble, So that was me respecting myself. I had to respect myself and to respect the gift God gave me to be at this point. So man, me playing at Florida State and me playing in Chicago was, I told my mom I was going to do this. So I would tell every parent that's listening right now, please listen to your kids when they say something. Listen to them and try to push them. Especially if it's good, try to push them give all you can to push them to that dream. Because I told my mom my dream and I lived it. But, I don't care if I didn't stay as long as I wanted to. It wasn't God's plan, but God turned it to be the plan that he wanted me to live, so I could come back and impact other kids.
Leroy, when you're away from the office or the stadium or the bright lights, so to speak, in those quiet moments and in other moments, do you go back and think about your days at FSU? Does it ever leave you, or do you think about it every day? Is it in your subconscious, or is it times when you just don't think about it, or is it just a part of you?
It all depends. I can't answer that question with a concrete answer, because there are times where I don't think about it, and I sometimes forget. I ask the Lord, well, Lord, how did I play on that field? How did I play? Like I don't think about it because I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm helping these kids. But there are sometimes when I'm like, oh man, I remember, especially when football season is about to come. Oh, that's when you think about it the most. You like, oh man, football season gear. Or when you're around former players and y'all when we get together and we talk about the practices, we had a locker room talk. Well, that's another story, guys. And or we have laughs about things that went on. So, man, those times I do think about it. Then sometimes I think about it when I talk to the kids. The kids tell me that I try to toot my own horn. I say I have to, because you guys are tangible kids. You guys are tangible. So I have to tell you what it's like so you can get it. I try to pull myself out, but you guys won't listen if I do. So I have to tell you from the perspective of someone who's been where you're trying to go. So man, but most of the time my focus is not on playing. It's really focusing on helping these kids to maximize their potential in whatever way, keeping them from being incarcerated. And if I have to talk about my time at Florida State, I'll do it. But most of the time I'm really focusing on helping the whole kid, because I know you look at statistics, you can see, where our kids are going, the impact that education have on our kids. So I try to, tackle that, for the most part, just to give these kids hope, and not just hope, try to give them guidance. It's one thing to give a kid hope. You can have hope for a day, then the hope run out. I try to guide them. Having a guide, it's gonna like a GPS. It's gonna guide you all the way to your destination. Try to guide them. Not try to dictate where they go, but guide them where they want to go. So but if it takes me to talk about football, I will. I will, and I do it freely too. Yeah.
There's a big game coming up next week. We look at Alabama and we look at Georgia. And as you alluded to earlier, they are part of the Bowden coaching tree. When you look at the coaches there, Coach Smart and those guys, they feel like they have something to go back and get done. And then you look at Alabama and everything they represent. And, they talk about being Bama built. But when you see that classic clash of Titans, and this is definitely going to be a good game. What can you envision when you look at the national championship game and coming up?
I can envision if Alabama don't spy on that quarterback, that great quarterback, it's going to be hard to beat Bama. If Georgia don't spy on that great quarterback, it's going to be hard to beat them. And also, they're going to have to play good coverage on those receivers, at Georgia. At Alabama. Everybody know what Alabama is about is running the ball, but now they have a man that's controlling that wheel, that can make some things happen with his feet, with his paws, and definitely with his arm. That Bryce Young kid, man, he's special. He's a special one. So when you have a good quarterback, it makes the game easier. Now, when you have a great quarterback, oh my goodness, it's hard to beat. But I think Kirby could pull this one out. I think he could pull this one off with their defensive front and the speed of their linebackers. You have to. This gonna be a game of coaching. You're gonna see some really good coaching, and you got to think about the last time they played in the national championship. Georgia had Alabama beat. Then Nick Saban made an adjustment. He put 2 freshmen in the game. Both of them went first round 2 years ago. Well, one last year, one 2 years ago. He put Tua in the game. Then he put Smith in the game. One-on-one the Heisman. I think Tua won the Heisman. Did he win it? Yes or no? I think so. Tua won the Heisman. And one-on-one the Thorpe Award. So people say, why is Nick Saban putting these freshmen in the game? Then Alabama ended up winning the game. They say, oh, that's why they put them in the game. So I think with a week of being able to prepare, man, they know each other very well. Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are friends. They know. So this is gonna be about coaching. This is gonna be a old school chess match with 2 old schools sitting down in front of the barbershop. They've been sitting there for, let's say, 8 hours playing a game of chess. And whoever get tired first, or whoever the time run out on first is gonna lose. So I see that. But if what beat Georgia last time was the quarterback's ability to create. If Georgia stops Bryce Young's ability to be able to create, then I think Georgia will win. If not, the banner is gonna hang at Alabama again. So, but I hope my guy Kirby Smart gets him one. I love Nick Saban as well, but I hope my guy Kirby Smart gets him one. Because he's recruited hard, he's coached well, he's been close, and I hope he pulls it off because he's a great coach. He's always been a great coach, and I hope he pulls one off.
The ACC, huh?
Oh yes, sir. It's big boy football, man.